Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. This is Leo Brady with AMovieGuy.com. I am so ecstatic. I am so excited. I am here today with writer, director, actor, Zoe Lister-Jones. Thank you so much for being with me here today.
Yeah, totally. Happy to be here.
Yeah, this is great. So I start a lot of my interviews by asking what I think is kind of a broad question, but I think it's a good sort of liftoff to get into what you do for a living. And I'm always interested as to how your family got you into movies and television in general. Would you go to the theater on a weekday, or would you go every week? But how did that spark sort of happen for you?
I like that question.
Yeah.
My mom is a video artist, um, and my dad is a photographer. And I grew up in New York, in the New York art world, and so I think I was exposed to really art house cinema from a very young age, and I think that had a huge influence on me. My mom, I think, was not a huge fan of popular culture. So she was definitely interested in unpopular culture, which
Yeah.
so there are definitely holes in my cinephile brain when it comes to like big blockbuster movies or movies that are kind of part of most filmmakers' canons, because my mom had some sort of allergy towards that. But on the flip side, I got to see just incredible films, a lot of foreign films and a lot of independent cinema that I think shaped me for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that puts you ahead of the curve than a lot of people, and you're not, I mean, you're probably seeing movies like Jurassic Park or whatever, Star Wars stuff, but it's like, I think having that background is more important. I feel like I had that same like my first movie that I ever saw was A River Runs Through It. And
Oh,
like it's like Robert Redford. It's just
yeah,
like I just think that that's always an important sort of aspect of cinema and how our parents introduce us to it.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we dig into your excellent new show, Slip, I mean, God, you're having an exciting year, and you deliver this amazing performance in Ari Aster's Beau is Afraid. I am sure people are saying to you, I just saw that movie and I don't know what I just saw. And I guess my question is to you, how did you get involved in that project specifically? And what was your first thought when you read that script?
Oh man. Well, I just auditioned.
Yeah.
And I auditioned without being given a script because the script was a highly
Lock
coveted,
and key.
secure,
Yeah.
secure piece of property.
Yeah.
So I had to audition without knowing any context, which, is an amazing challenge as an actor. And then I was sent the script, and then I got to meet with Ari, and he offered me the role. And I'm such a fan of his work. I think he's, one of the great filmmakers of our time. And so, yeah, I just lost my mind when I found out that I would be able to work with him. And it was an incredible experience. It exceeded all of my expectations. He's really so masterful as a filmmaker and incredible with his actors. And it was a really challenging role. It's a it's a wild role. It's a wild movie. And it's just so cool to be a part of something that I think, like inspires so much conversation afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely feels like groundbreaking cinema in a way, because it's just like an artist's full sort of life being put out there, and that is always just daring,
Yeah.
no matter what it says. And speaking about like sort of being daring too, with you, you've run the gamut of like films. The first time I interviewed you was for Band-Aid, and then in between that you had The Craft Legacy. So you've kind of done independent, maybe smaller budget to a little bit either bigger budget, or at least with a studio behind you. And now even this, you're working in sort of television in a way. Um, have you figured out what you like more or less? I mean, like, was the experience of working with the craft a lot more difficult than you expected, or did you? It seems like you've been able to put your voice into a lot of your work, but that necessarily doesn't always compute, or at least go hand in hand with studios, right? They might want to push you to do something else.
Yeah. I mean, I think working with studios, you have more resources, but also more voices at the table, and that always proves challenging, I think, as an artist. Uh, what was amazing about working with Roku on Slip is that I was working, with a streamer, and was given the artistic freedom you know, of my dreams. And so it felt like the best of both worlds. And I wrote all 7 episodes of Slip when I was in quarantine, I think, because I wanted to protect my vision. I didn't want very many voices at the table on this round. And Roku was such an incredible partner. They read all 7 scripts and gave me a green light to series without one script note, which is unheard of. And have continued to just give me so much room as an artist to really lean into the singularity of my vision and voice. And that's just such a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too, because anybody who views Slip might say to you that this clearly feels like a passion project for you. There's a lot of your voice in this. But a series that has sort of many people, many ideas. Where did this sort of all really come from? You talked about writing it during quarantine and during COVID. uh was this just something that you were like, I am going through this in life or going through whatever, and I gotta make it, I gotta like, in a way, was this like your therapy? Like, was this sort of your way of getting it out?
Yeah, I think all of my writing is, even with the craft, like, that was obviously already a property that I was brought on to reimagine, but I don't know how to find my way into a story if it's not personal. It's just who I am as an artist. So, yeah, this was no exception. I think I was struggling with depression and a sort of sense of restlessness and stuckness in my own life. And I was looking for a way to answer that question of, like, what do we do with that feeling of wanting more when everything might, to an outside eye seem like you got it all going on,
Right.
and I think there is, like, that's such a universal question, is no matter what stage we are in our lives, there's always this feeling of it not being enough. And especially when it comes to relationships, I thought that was, something that not only spoke to me, but that I was hearing from a lot of my friends, of the grass always being greener, of meeting someone and wondering if that's the person you're supposed to be with,
Yeah.
or or looking back in your life and thinking, well, should I have not broken up with that person? Was that the person I was supposed to be with? And so Slip, was a way for me to explore those questions through an irreverent lens, and also through the lens of female sex and sexuality, which I really wanted to put at the forefront of the narrative.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's an interesting sort of thing you bring up about sort of like female sexuality. I think this movie, it doesn't shy away from anything, which I love. It's just like pure honesty, pure, like, this is what adults go through. This is what a woman experiences. This is a movie that allows a woman to experience sexual pleasure and allows her to sort of, you know, make her own decisions. When you sort of, maybe when you were done writing all 7 episodes, did you look at one version of yourself that you got to play and say, that's actually the one that I wish I was at? Or were you just like, no, it doesn't really matter. I don't, it's all about just stepping into those shoes for each episode.
Yeah, there's not one that I would, choose over the other. I think it's about the journey as a whole rather than each stop on it, and I
Yeah.
think, like, for May, like so many of us, while we might not be transported into a multiverse through orgasm, we are all trying on these different versions of ourselves and trying to figure out which is the most authentic. And I think you kind of have to do that to find yourself. And it requires a lot of courage. And I think May exits a relationship and is forced to go on this crazy adventure, which is a courageous act. And the whole time she's wondering if she should go back, which I think is a very relatable, thing for so many of us. But yeah, no, I wouldn't choose one. I think it's just about going on the ride.
Yeah. A couple more questions before I have to wrap up. Your cast here, I mean, like you've got just like this amazing collection of actors, really like there's not like this, you wouldn't say there's, anybody that isn't known, but you would say that it's just this unique collective group that all really fits well. It makes it all work together. But I specifically, sort of picked up with Tamika Tafari, who is in almost every episode with you. Can you talk about like working with her? I feel like the two of you have such a hilarious sort of chemistry together, but also an honesty with one another that I thought that's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Tamika Tafari plays Gina, my best friend in the show. And she's an incredible actor. She's based out of Toronto where we shot. And is a relative newcomer. And I think that's so exciting as a director, to have that element of discovery, especially with such an incredible talent like Tamika.
Yeah.
She actually auditioned to play the cashier, and I saw the tape and I was like, that's Gina, there's no question. And then we did a chemistry read, and it was very clear that that we did have such an incredible rapport. And then leading up to the shoot, we hung out a lot, and we're talking about our characters and our characters' dynamics and the themes of the show. And I now consider her a very dear friend, but I'm so excited for the world to see what she does, because it's really, she's a comedic genius. She has so much pathos. She's just an incredible performer.
Yeah. So we talked about Beau is Afraid. You have Slip now coming out on Roku Channel April 21st. And you also were in Zach Braff's A Good Person. You are having an amazing 2023. What do you credit this? I mean, are you just going to be celebrating this whole year and just be thankful that it's just all happening at once?
I do feel really grateful.
Yeah.
It's a really tough industry, and so it's important to pause and take in these moments because they're rare. And it's been a lifelong dream for me to create my own series. So just that alone is something that I'm so grateful for. But then to be given the opportunity to work with these incredible filmmakers as an actor is just, icing on the cake. It's been truly an amazing year.
Yeah. All right, Zoe Lister-Jones, thank you so much for talking with me today. Congratulations. Everybody watch Slip. It's going to be on the Roku channel on April 21st. Thanks so much for talking with me.
Thank you. Nice talking to you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.